Hello and welcome to this lecture series on research and academic writing. My name is Austin Emielu. I'm a visiting professor at the Rose University, Grahamstown, South Africa. I'm also a fellow of the Shepherd Institute for the Study of Contemporary Africa at Wilfrid Laurier University in Canada. Previously, I worked at the University of Ghana as a visiting professor. So today I want to share with you my topic, which I titled Writing an Introduction to an Article. You know, so I've developed four models, which I want to share with you. Very simplistic, very straightforward. But before we go on, let me share some information with you. Hello and welcome to my channel, the Austin Emielu Educational Services channel. Are you a scholar who is struggling with academic writing good journal papers? Are you a graduate or undergraduate student struggling with research? Well, you're not alone. I was there too. In fact, when research method was taught to me in school, I didn't understand a thing. And it took me a long time for me to pick up and be where I am today. And so after about 20 years of teaching in the university, teaching research methods to undergraduate, masters and PhD students, mentoring younger colleagues on academic writing, holding workshops, serving as a consultant, reviewing articles for various journals and all those, endeavors. I decided to come and put, videos together in critical areas to help you in academic writing and research. So I've created short videos, various interesting topics, straight to the point, and you will love them. So I want you to subscribe to this channel, invite your friends, your colleagues, your students, and together we build, a robust knowledge about research and academic writing. So once more, welcome to my channel. Do subscribe and let's do it together. Okay, welcome back. So the first model is this, the expanded abstract model. By now, you should have a fair idea of an abstract, that short summary of a journal paper that you first of all come across, that summarizes the main ideas in the paper. That's the abstract. And according to my supervisor, an abstract should have some fair basic ideas. One of them is, the statement of problem or the objective of the study. And the next is your methodology, your methods of inquiry, a bit about your findings and a bit about your conclusion. So in this expanded abstract model, what you need to do is to expand each of these areas as an introduction. Blow it up, and you'll get a reasonable, introduction to your work. So model number 2 is an intro, with research questions and a central argument. So when you write your introduction, drawing a bit from the first model, you will now add questions. In this paper, I asked the following questions. You can see that on the screen, What is, how is, why is, and so on and so forth. So those questions are what your paper sets out to answer. So the reader knows right from the onset that this paper sets out to address these 3 questions and nothing more, And then you add a central argument. In this paper, I argue that, I aim to argue that. So the central argument, which is the takeaway of the paper, the point you are making in the paper, you can add it as part of the introduction to elicit, interest. And then model number 3 is situating the problem in the historical context and then identifying gaps that your paper will fill. You put the problem with research in a kind of historical perspective, following the conversation, a little bit of literature review, and then you now open up gap that your paper, intends to fill. And when you open up this gap, you can then say, this is the gap that my paper aims to fill. And that makes a lot of sense. The model number 4, this is introduction, providing a background to understanding the paper. So this one combines, the extended abstract, the historical context, literature review, and then you add a paper outline. That's what is new here in this model, a paper outline. In other words, how the paper, how the article is sectioned. And you can start by saying things like, this article or this paper is divided into 4 sessions. 4 sessions. In the first session, I talk about, I deal with this, I deal with that. In the second session, I deal with this. And so I do that. I put an example for you on the screen, which you see there. So let me begin to wind down this lecture by giving you some tips on writing a very strong introduction. So I suggest to you that you open with a strong and clear statement on what the paper sets out to do. No vagueness, no redundant materials. Sometimes when I review articles, you see the introduction loaded with a lot of materials which are not useful. Citations that are not, do not contribute to the essence of the paper. So you let your paper open with a strong statement. You can use phrases like this paper examines, this paper challenges, it problematizes, and so on and so forth. So those kind of strong statements that gives a clear idea what you want to do. And so my final words for writing an introduction. I suggest to you that it should be brief but detailed in your introduction. And then you should write to arouse your reader's interest, because the introduction is the first part of the paper. And once it's not interesting to the reader, it drops it. I've also had that kind of problem too, where I'm reviewing an article, I look at the introduction, I'm already discouraged. Then in your introduction, demonstrate that you are an expert in your field, that you know exactly what you're writing, so that you can command, the attention of the reader. I also suggest that you avoid high-sounding grammar and clumsy sentences that are difficult to understand. And finally, I suggest that you start well and then you end well. Many times you see introduction just ends and it's hanging. But there's supposed to be an organic link between the introduction and the main body of the paper. So find a way to connect the introduction to the main body. You start well, connect, and then connect with the main body at the end. So these are my ideas for you today to this class. I hope you find them useful. So don't forget, subscribe to this channel, tell your friends, your colleagues. If you're a teacher, encourage your students. If you're already taking some mentoring on academic writing, no problem. You can also gain from this. So I hope to see you. If you also want me to do a workshop in your institution, on academic writing, stuff like that, I've done that several times in different universities around the world. So you can also invite me. You can write to me. My email is in the description below. Okay, thank you, and see you in another lecture.